We're going to take a look at compound interest. Compound interest questions generally involve a calculator, so make sure you have a calculator nearby so that you can use that for answering these questions whenever I ask you to pause the video and try them yourself. So compound interest questions involve us being able to find a percentage of a quantity. So if you can't find a percentage of a quantity or you don't know how to do that, then you may want to go back and watch the video on the channel where you're asked to find a percentage of a quantity, or we revise over that topic, because that will help you with these particular questions. Now, to solve a compound interest question, we normally use a table because it gives us a nice structure and make sure that we don't miss anything out. But you do not have to do a table. This is just a way of helping you to understand the layout and how to set out your question. So we'll look at this question we have here in front of us. John puts £2,000 in a savings account at an interest rate of 4%. So John has put some money into a bank account and they are giving him 4% interest on that each year. So it says, how much money will he have in his account after 3 years? So we're going to draw out our table here to answer this question. Our table has 4 columns. So our first column here should be the years. So it depends how many years is in the question. And in this particular question here, it says, how much money will he have in his account after 3 years? So we're going to put 3 in here, 1, 2 and 3. Then in our second column, we have the start amount. So how much we actually start off with at the beginning of each of these years. The middle column will be our interest. And in our final column, we will have the end amount. So this is the amount we have at the end of each of these years. Okay, so at the very beginning of year 1, John puts £2,000 in his account. So we're going to start off with 2,000. Now he gets 4% interest. You'll see that from the question. So we are going to find out what 4% of 2,000 is. So 2,000. And we're going to divide by 100, because remember 4% is 4 over 100. So divide by 100, which is 20, and times by 4, which is 80. So he started off with £2,000. He is getting interest of £80. So by the end of the year, you're going to add those together. He will have £2,080 in his account. So that means the beginning of year 2, he has £2,080. And again, he's going to get 4% interest. So we'll go through the process again, but we're starting here from £2,080. And we're going to divide by 100, which would be 20.8. And we're going to multiply by 4. So whenever we start getting into these decimals, it may be easier to do this on your calculator. So 20.8 times by 4 is £83.20. Now remember, this is money, so we can't go past 2 decimal places, but this is still fine, okay? So we're going to add that on. So we started off with £2,080. We've now gained £83.20 in interest. So that means if you add that on, we now have £2,163.20. So that means at the beginning of year 3, we have £2,163.20. So write that in again, £2,163.20. Go through the same process. We're going to find 4% of that. So 2163.20 divided by 100, which is 21.632. Don't round it to the very end, so times that by 4. So we'll do that in our calculator. 21.632, and we're timesing that by 4, which gives us, I'm just going to run out of space here, so I'm going to put it below, 86.528. Now obviously the bank can't give him this part here, but we're going to round it up, and we're going to go with 86.53, so £86.53. So add that onto the amount you had at the start of the year. So £2,163.20 plus our interest in year 3, which was 86.53. And the total now is £2,249.73. So by the end of the year, it says how much money will he have in his account after 3 years. So after 3 years, he will have went from starting at £2,000, he's now up to £2,249.73. Okay, so we have an exam question here for you to try. So it says Toby invests £4,500 for 2 years in a savings account. Remember, you only need 2 years this time. The last question had 3 years. He was paid 4% per annum compound interest, so he's getting 4% interest each year. And it says how much will he have in his savings account after 2 years. So you can go ahead and pause the video now and try this question yourself. And then once you feel that you've got through it confidently and you've answered it, then unpause the video and I'll work through it with you. Okay, so we are going to firstly draw out our table with our 4 columns. So the first column is going to be our years. So this time we've only got 2 years in the question, so it's going to be 1 and 2. Then we're going to have our start amount. Okay, and we are starting with £4,500. And then we have our interest in the middle column. And our then our end amount. So how much do we have at the end of the year? Okay, so we're going to find 4%. Remember, 4% is 4 over 100. So we're going to divide by 100 and times by 4. Divide by the bottom, times by the top. So 4,500 divide by 100, which is 45, and times that by 4. So 4,500 divided by 100 and times by 4 gives us £180. So we're going to add that on, 4,500 plus our extra interest we're getting, which gives us a total of £4,680. So at the beginning of our second year now, we have £4,680. And we're going to go through the process again of finding 4% on that. So 4,680 divided by 100 and times by 4. So 4,680 divided by 100 and times by 4 is £187.20. So 187.20. So we're going to add that on to our 4,680, which gives us a total at the end of the second year of £4,867.20. So it says how much did Toby have in his savings account after 2 years? So after 2 years, he had £4,867.20. Okay, so there is a slightly different scenario that we can have in these compound interest ones, and that is this situation where sometimes you don't always gain money. So if you put money into a savings account, yes, your interest rises and you gain more money. But we take this example here. So Katie buys a car for £8,500. It depreciates 10% in the first year and then 8% each year after that. What will be the value of the car after 2 years? Now we're going to use the same sort of layout and table, but slight difference here is instead of adding on for our last column, we're actually going to subtract, because when you buy a car, it loses value. So we're going to put our years in at the start. So in this case, it says what's the value of the car going to be after 2 years? So we're going to put 2 years in here. Then we have the start amount. I'm just going to write in start because I haven't really left enough space there. We have then this word here, depreciation, is nearly the opposite of interest. Okay, so it's where we lose our value. Okay, so our depreciation, and then we have our end amount. How much do we have at the end of those years? So another part of this question is the interest rate doesn't actually stay the same, or the depreciation rate doesn't stay the same. The first year it's 10%. So in this first year, we're going to have to reduce by 10%. But in the second year, we're reducing by a smaller amount of 8%. So what do we have at the start? We have £8,500. That's what the value of the car is. So 8,500. And we're going to drop it in the first year by 10%. So 8,500. Now 10% is 10 over 100, but if you simplify that down, that's 1 over 10. So we can simply divide by 10. And that's 850. So the car at the start of the year was worth 8,500. It is now reduced by 850, so you're going to have to take away. And that gives you a new value at the end of the year of 7,650. So it has gone down in value. Was 8,500. It's now only worth 7,650. So at the beginning of the second year, it's going to be worth 7,650. Now in this second year, we're going to reduce it by 8%. So 7,650 divide by 100, because 8% is 8 over 100. And then we're going to times by 8. So I'll pop that into my calculator. 7,650 divided by 100 and times by 8 is £612. So the car has just dropped by another £612. So it was 7,650 at the start of this second year. It's reduced by 612, which means if we take that away, it is now worth £7,038. Okay, so what is the value of the car after 2 years? It is now worth £7,038. Okay, so I've got a question here to try, an exam question. So again, you can pause the video and you can work through this on your own. And then once you have checked it out and you have tried it, you can then unpause the video and I'll work through it with you. So a company bought a van that had a value of £12,000. So it started off at £12,000. Each year, the value of the van depreciates by 25%. It says work out the value of the van at the end of 3 years. Okay, so we're going to draw out our table here again. And we've 3 years this time, so our column at the start should say years. And we're going to have 1, 2, and 3. Then we have our start amount. Okay, then we have our depreciation. And then we have our end amount. Okay, so we're starting off with a van at £12,000. So 12,000. Now we're finding 25% here. 25% is 25 over 100. So you can divide by 100 times by 25, or if you simplify that down, that's actually equal to a quarter. So we can simply divide by 4 here to find a quarter. Now, if you decide to divide by 100 times by 25 when you were doing this, that's fine. You'll still come out with the same answer. So I'm going to just divide by 4. So 12,000 divided by 4. So 4 and 12 goes 3 times. So that's 3,000. So it was 12,000. Remember, this is depreciation, so it's going down. It's dropped by 3,000. So this van is now worth £9,000. So 12,000 take away 3,000 is 9,000. So at the beginning of year 2, we're starting off with a van worth £9,000. It's dropping by the same percentage, so 9,000. And we're going to divide that by 4. And that is 2,250. So it was worth 9,000. It has now dropped by 2,000. So remember, you're taking away 2,250, which means it is now worth 6,750. Okay, so at the beginning of our third year, remember, it is now 6,750. And we're going to take another quarter off. So 6,750 divided by 4. Or we're taking off 25%, but remember that is equivalent to a quarter. So 6,750. Divide that by 4 is £1,687.50. Okay, so I'm going to take that away now. So our 6,750 take away £1,687.50, which means our van at the end of the third year is worth £5,062.50. So work out the value of the van at the end of 3 years. So by the end of 3 years, it is now worth £5,062.50.